In this problem, we are given a table of values and asked to determine if it represents a perfect square. Since we have this table of values, let's go ahead and insert it into Desmos to generate an equation. So I've already added the table into Desmos by clicking the plus sign, add item, and then clicking on table. Now, we could do this by directly asking it for the vertex form and seeing if that was a perfect square, or we could ask for the standard form and look at our C and our relationship with B and see if that's a perfect square. I'll show you both ways. We'll start with the standard form. We're going to do y1 tilde ax1 squared plus bx1 plus c. Notice in our graph, our parabola is sitting right here on the x-axis. That is indicative of a perfect square. So A is 1, B is 10, and C is 25. Let's go ahead and record that equation. That is y equals A was 1, so x squared, B was 10, so plus 10x, and C was 25, so plus 25. All right, now remember that to identify a perfect square from standard form, the C value must be positive, and in this case it is, so that's wonderful. And it must be a perfect square. So here C is a perfect square because 25 is 5 squared. So it's looking pretty promising. This is a perfect square. Let's check our relationship between B and C. We know in a perfect square, B divided by 2 squared must equal C. B is 10, so 10 divided by 2 would be 5. When I square that, I get to 25. So this looks like a perfect square trinomial where my equation would be y equals x plus 5 squared, because remember, it's this b over 2 value that we're putting in for h. Okay, now we can go back to Desmos and ask it to create that vertex form. So we could do y1 tilde a parentheses x1 minus h squared plus k. And here you can see A is 1, H is -5, and K is 0. So when our K is 0, it shows a big, long, yucky decimal. Essentially, that is 0. We know that this is a perfect square trinomial. And it's x minus -5, which turns to a plus 5. So that validates our equation y equals x plus 5 squared. So this is a perfect square, so we'll take off the no choices. And yes, the y-intercept is a perfect square because our c value is 25. And yes, this forms a perfect square that can be modeled by a square with a side length x plus 5. Because when I have this equation, x plus 5 squared, that is representing a square with side lengths x plus 5, because that's x plus 5 times x plus 5.